Welcome back. I took up all the onions. This is where the Tropicana longa were. And over there is where the New York Early were. I did record it. And here's the footage that I recorded while I was harvesting them. So these onions, tops were falling over. I could have harvested these a couple of weeks ago, but I had other things to do. And if you look back over here, they're all standing tall still. So I was thinking that it was because I let these plants grow up here. There was a couple plants over here as well. And that was a mistake. Well, it was a mistake because once you get plants bunched up like that, it's hard to get in and weed them. And as you can see, the weeds are taking over as well, whereas I could weed out the Tropicana longa. But one day I was out here, I was thinking it was a mistake because the tops fell over easier. But then I thought, wait a minute, these are New York Early. So I went in and checked, and sure enough, both in days and in growing degree units, they were a little early, but not very much. Now the other thing about them growing in the shade, I'm going to have a lot of small onions. So yes, it was a mistake, but then it was a learning experience. So I'm going to not do that next year. They'll need full sun, and of course with them out in full sun I'll be able to keep the weeds clear easier. I won't have seed for Tropicana longa, so I'm going to buy some more seed. And I am quite pleased. These are not huge onions with respect to onions, but with respect to Tropicana longa, they are really nice onions. And they're not started to fall over yet, so I don't know how big they're going to get. These are from Red Spring. So I think they're just starting to open actually. But I should be able to get some seed from Red Spring because, like I say, I have another month and a half. And these three heads here, most of the flowers are open now, you see. That is the Australian brown, which was another onion that I was pleased with. So it's August the 22nd, and like I say, I could have taken these up 2 weeks ago, the New York Early. So harvest time for New York Early, and they are cool season crops, so the warm temperatures didn't help. First week of August is when I would, even on a normal year, be harvesting New York Early. Because of that, I'm probably going to get another set of seed. Now last year, I just chopped the top off a little bit like that and dried them out like that, so I'm going to do the same thing this year. Last year I also saved the tops. It's not necessary for me to do that this year. I actually didn't use all the tops, so I had to look for every one of them because some of them didn't grow very big, as I was saying. that plant is dry so I can take the seed from them. I'm gonna, whoa, want to move them out here. I have some nice sized ones though. This bed's going to need to be forked over to get those weeds out. And that's the onions I had. We'll go inside and see how much they weigh, but I'm going to go there to the outside tap and wash the dirt off them first. Get me a container to fill with water. And then I'll take them back out. That pan is too big for this scale, and I want to weigh to the nearest gram, so I'll just make 2 weighings in this ice cream container. That'll be 1555 right there, so 1.5 kilograms. in 1008, so another kilogram. September the 29th. Soaking wet from last night, and the rain is supposed to be starting anytime soon, so I'm just harvesting some stuff that's ready to go until the rain starts. Here's about 50% of the onions here, their tops are turned over, and some people harvest them all when they do that. But for today, I'm just going to harvest the ones that the tops have flopped over, hoping that, of course, some of the other ones can grow a little bigger until they get to that point themselves. This is Tropicana longa, if my memory serves me correctly. Yes, Tropicana longa. And the last time I did this, I was told this was a nice size. I'll bring it closer. So I was told that this was a nice size for the Tropicana longa onions. I have some larger than that and some smaller, but most of them are larger than this. So that's that. As I said, there's some really big ones there. At this time of year, it's not a good idea to have your soil uncovered, so just throw any weed you're pulling back up or the onion tops. If you're not keeping them, throw them back on the bed and keep the soil covered. But as you can see, all of these have fairly stiff necks. And did I get 50%? I don't know if I did. And I've got a bread pan full of onions. It's October the 27th, and we had a heavy frost last night. And according to the forecast, not tonight but tomorrow night, we should have another heavy frost. So I guess what I'm going to have to do with these is take them all up and keep them separate and use these first. Because if I just bring them in the house now, they're going to try to continue to grow, which I have no choice, but like I say, I'll use these up first, and the ones that actually finish their maturity, I'll use those afterwards. They'll keep a lot longer. As I said, I'm not going to eat this one. I want to keep it and try grow seed next year. Thought about leaving it there, but I don't know how it'll work over the winter. So I'm going to take it up. I'll cut the top off. I dumped some sand out here last week, I don't know why. But at any rate, put a bit of sand in the bottom there. And put that down there. And I'll put that in the spare fridge like that, and it should stay dormant until the ground thaws in the spring. Then I'll put it back out and let it grow up to a seed head. I am going to weigh this though first, the onion, to add to my final harvest count. I brought in the seed heads from red spring onion and the Australian brown. Those are the only two that I got to grow seed heads. The other two didn't. I've already got them taken out for red spring. This is red spring onions here. And interestingly enough, as I was out there, and some of the seed capsules, they had dried and opened up, and I was afraid that the seeds, I would lose the seeds on the ground. So I put baggies over the flower head, and they tipped over and water got inside, so it was keeping the area moist. And quite a few of them actually has sprouted. The other interesting thing it did, up on the flower, it put out these little bulbules. There's 3 this size. I got 1 this size, and a couple little tiny ones. I want to count these now, so I'm going to separate them out. And then I'll see how many I have that have sprouted. That way I'll decide what I'm going to plant them in. Because the idea is, can you pre-sprout your onion seeds before you plant them in the little trays? And since they're already sprouted, might as well see if that's possible, eh? Finally, that took a long time, but I have them all put out in piles of 10. So 84 piles of 10 that I put out here that don't look like they've sprouted. So that's 840 seeds. Over here, I have 5 piles. I'll zoom you in and you'll see. I have 5 piles that, as you can see, they sprouted. And I have these 4 or 5 little bulbs. So I'm going to plant these and see what I can get to grow, either here in the sunroom, in the grow room, in the sunroom, or a combination of them both. Because Mother Nature has tossed this experiment into my lap, and I basically have to do it now, I'm going to hot pot them a few times. I'm going to start them in this 200 cell flat that's only about 1 inch deep, and I've just got 6 rows done here because I only have 54 seeds. So I poke a little hole just the same as I'm setting any other seed. This part is interesting because can you pre-sprout your onion seeds? That's something I've never seen anyone else do. Like I said, they're already pre-sprouted. So let's see what happens if we try to grow them. So that should be 60 holes. I think I'm going to try to just use my fingers. Now for these little bulbs, I'll just push them in like you would if you were setting bulbs out in your vegetable garden. There. It's October the 23rd, so the days are short. These are long day onions, so I have no choice really. I have to grow them until they're significantly long before I can bring them to the sunroom. Maybe sometime in February or March. You see, when you're extracting the onion seeds, this is what each pod looks like, and it's got 3 different sides. So inside the seeds will be some multiple of 3. These are all green. This one has turned brown, but he's wet. And let's see if I can get... I don't think those seeds are fully developed. So I need to place this somewhere so that you can see it a lot better. Oh, this one will do good. So each one of these capsules, that was 1 flower. And the whole bunch of flowers. Now while this capsule is still green, the seeds inside have turned black. So as I said, inside each capsule there will be a multiple of 3. See, in that side there was 2 in the one section of the capsule, so there should be 2 in each section. Looks like no, I got one right here. So I got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And of course we have all of these, and all of these. It would be nicely if they're completely matured. The capsules will turn brown, dry, and then just open up, and you could see all the seeds around in a ring. But on here, I don't have any. On the Red Spring, there was some. But we'll take the seeds out because they're black, and then we shall test them later. Now, you see what I mean by them continuing to grow after I harvested them. I guess I'm going to have to either dry these or turn them into preserves. I think I would rather dry them and get onion powder. That's the onion harvest for 2021. Hope you enjoyed it, and come back for the next one. I'll see you then.